Welcome to This Explainer. Today we are doing something really fascinating. We're going to deconstruct the actual mechanics of writing a gripping personal narrative. Specifically, we're looking at that universally dreaded theme, losing something important. We'll be diving into source material that breaks down exactly how writers pull the strings, manipulating facts, feelings, and the literal speed of a story to keep us on the edge of our seats.
Think about it for a second. Have you ever lost something incredibly important? We have all experienced that awful, stomach-dropping feeling, right? You pat your pockets, you're frantically digging through your bag, and suddenly, boom, it hits you. Something valuable is just gone. It's a highly relatable, intensely emotional moment, which is exactly why it makes for such fantastic storytelling. But there's a real science to putting that raw panic onto the page.
Okay, let's take a quick look at the agenda. First, we'll examine a case study we're calling Airport Panic, followed by a totally different scenario in our Library Blunder. Then, we'll break down the technical tools used, balancing facts and feelings, and controlling story pacing. Let's get into it. Section 1, Airport Panic. We'll kick things off with a story that perfectly captures the modern traveler's absolute worst nightmare. Now, what's really interesting here is how fast the author grounds us in the scene. The story is titled, Had I Really Lost It? And it drops us right at an airport baggage carousel. The narrator has just gotten back from a grueling business trip to China. He's totally exhausted, his mind is swirling with pending issues at work, and literally all he wants to do is grab his bag and go. Based on clues in the text, we can build a pretty solid profile of our protagonist. He's likely a businessman, maybe in his mid-30s or 40s. He's highly stressed, totally preoccupied, and this is absolutely crucial for the story. He made the incredibly risky decision to pack a brand new laptop inside his checked suitcase just to avoid carrying it. I mean, talk about instantly raising the stakes. And the text brilliantly illustrates that rising tide of panic. He's standing by the carousel, watching everyone else grab their luggage and walk away. Time is just dragging on. Eventually, the carousel stops dead, and he's told there's no more luggage. He just cannot believe it. The internal stress is mounting with every passing second, creating this fantastic sense of tension for us as the reader. By this point, he is furious. He marches over to the information desk, described in the text as being all worked up, ready for a fight. But here is the amazing twist. As he's being led away to fill out lost item forms, he happens to walk past a completely different carousel. Out of the corner of his eye, he catches a glimpse of a familiar sticker. He stops, he looks, and yep, there's his suitcase. The completely embarrassing reality, he had been intensely waiting at the wrong carousel the entire time. Section 2, Library Blunder. Let's pivot to our second case study and see how this builds on a totally different yet equally stressful everyday scenario. This one takes us back to 2019 in a handwritten account titled, How Did You Lose That? It's written by a student who is at a massive, packed university library to do some research. They've been waiting for almost an hour just for a spot at a table with an outlet to open up. So you can imagine they are absolutely thrilled to finally sit down. But then, in a moment of pure excitement and distraction over finally securing this spot, the writer makes a fatal error. They flat out state, I left everything on the table and walked away towards the journal section. Guys, they left their massive 17-inch laptop completely unattended in a busy public space. Reading that, you can already feel the impending disaster. The tension completely spikes when they try to go back. Remember, this is a giant university library. To their absolute horror, they realize they forgot the number next to the outlet where they set up. So now they are just wandering around aimlessly, totally unable to locate their laptop in this sea of identical tables. It wasn't even stolen. They simply lost it through their own oversight. Section 3, Balancing Facts and Feelings. So, here's the big question. What actually transforms these simple, kind of embarrassing mistakes into gripping personal narratives that we want to read? How do the writers make us feel their panic? Our source material shows that the secret sauce lies in carefully blending dry facts with intense internal feelings. Let's compare these two approaches. Factual information just gives us the physical movements. I headed for the carousel, or I kept on waiting. But on its own, that's pretty boring, right? To make it compelling, the writer layers in the emotional reality. I was all worked up, ready for a fight. That combination anchors us in the physical room while plunging us right into the character's messy mental state. Here's another really clear example. Simply stating the action, I looked for it, or I went to the police,
is going to put the reader to sleep because there's no meaning behind it. But when you pair that action with an emotion, I looked for it and I felt worried, or I went to the police and I felt miserable, suddenly the story has a heartbeat. The reader actually starts to care about the outcome. Section 4. Controlling story pacing. Beyond just balancing facts and emotions, our source text reveals another awesome high-level trick: manipulating pacing to simulate panic. Think about it. When you're in a panic, everything feels like a chaotic blur. To recreate that dizzying speed on the page, writers use specific faster motion techniques. As outlined in the text, they rely heavily on the simple past tense, and they quickly fire off a list of sequential actions. By taking events that are actually quite time-consuming and compressing them rapidly within a tiny amount of text, it totally tricks the reader's brain into feeling a sense of speed and urgency. Check out this sentence from our airport story to see exactly what I mean. I made up my mind to drive to the office first, deal with any urgent matters, and then go home. This is a perfect example of fast motion. It accelerates us through the character's totally overwhelmed thought process. Driving to the office, dealing with urgent matters, driving home, those actions take hours. But right here, they flashed by in just a few seconds, perfectly mirroring the character's racing mind. As we wrap up this explainer, I've got a challenge for you. Think back to your own most embarrassing, panic-inducing mistake. If you had to write it out today using these techniques, blending those facts and feelings and playing with the pacing, could you make a total stranger's heart race just by reading your words? Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive into the mechanics of narrative storytelling. See you next time.